All right. Welcome, viewers. Future, that is. As I doubt anybody's going to hop in this early or this quickly to a live session. I haven't done a live session in a while. Oh, and that and that's fine. So, hello. It's been a while. Um, I'm gonna need some time here to refresh my methodology, my system, my whatever when it comes to my morning meditation. But we'll get there. I'm still waking up, as you can tell. So, today's morning meditation is titled "Praise You in the Storm." I've been through a particularly interesting storm of life this winter season out of central Pennsylvania. We go through all the four seasons, and winter is hitting strong this year. Very cold, very bitter, and it's just interesting to see the personal reflections that I've been going through that would tie into that bitter cold, um, and whatnot. So, without further ado, let's start off with some stretches. So we're going to take our hands. We're going to stretch them out. Stretch as far as the east. Oh, hands from the west. Spin those hands. Spin the wrists a little bit. Reach to the Lord above. Oh, yeah, feel that back stretching. Now, bring your hands down. Reach the fingertips to the roots of the earth. Roll the neck out a little bit. Okay. Okay, now let's go ahead and roll the shoulders back. Oh, feel that tension release from your back. And forward. Yep, there we go. Oh, there we go. Now, head to this side. Head to the other side. Chin to the Lord. But not for too long. Chin to the chest. Roll that neck out. Oh, yeah, roll it out. And switch. Woo! Can you hear that snap, crackling, popping? I sure can. I sure can. Bring the arm across. Ah, the other arm across. There it is. Oh, yeah. Spin the back. Spin the back. Arm circles. Nothing big. Just itty bitty circles. And switch. Get the circles a little bigger. A little bit bigger. Yeah. All right. Oh, yeah. Try to pat yourself on the back because you deserve it. Okay, now the other arm. Pat yourself on the back because you deserve it. Oh, whew. Oops, sorry about the belly shot there. Didn't mean to. Okay. Now we're going to do some breathing for our morning meditation here. So let's warm our hands up a little bit. We'll go into prayer pose. And we're going to do four corners of the square. So we're going to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and then out, 3, 2, 1. Okay, ready? So breathe in with me. Again. In. Out. Hello, trusty. Trust is yours. Okay, one more time, one last time. Breathe in. And out. There it is, there it is. Warm your hands up a little bit more. Warm your hands up. Naruto fan thank for Z. Hello there. Hello everybody. Appreciate the hellos and greetings and good mornings. All right, so that takes care of our stretching and breathing. So, moving along to a morning meditation, I'm going to do a reading from my trusty, handy dandy, thick, old, reliable ESV English Standard Version Study Bible. Hello, no, and 6. So, the square proverb for today comes from chapter 11, verse 15 through 19. So, what I've been doing is I've been slowly but steadily working just a square screenshot at a time through the book of Proverbs. That is a pretty thick book, right? This sucker would do some damage. I did some time in a psych ward, and I actually was not allowed this book. It was, well, it had to stay in my room. It wasn't allowed to leave my bedroom because of how much of a thick book it was. Call Me Like Abby. Okay, Like Abby, Nono and 6. So anyway, I'm gonna flip to Proverbs chapter 11 and read verses 15 through 19. And I'm just gonna live react to what I'm reading. So if I start in verse 15, whoever puts up security for a stranger will surely suffer harm, but he who hates striking hands in pledge is secure. Verse 16, a gracious woman gets honor, and violent men get riches. Well, that seems almost unfair. Why were you saying? Oh, that's a great question. So I battle bipolar, and this past holiday season it was getting really rough. So the title of this morning's morning meditation is "Praising You in the Storm," and my storm has been a rather wicked battle in the war against my bipolar. So I had gotten to a point where I knew I needed help that I wasn't getting. So I hit the panic button. I hit the massive resources that I needed, and thankfully the team here in Central Pennsylvania, out of the UPMC Altoona, they were able to get me the help that I needed. So that's why. And while I don't wish that on anybody, if you need help, you need help. And so don't be afraid to, especially when you know you need, when you need help. You know when it's gotten to a point where you can no longer process, you can no longer handle. So it can feel uncomfortable, and there's a lot of anxiety because there's going to be a bill, but you're going to be so much better prepared to handle those worries of life and pay those bills if you get the help that you need. So that's why I was in the psych ward. No regrets there. Would there have been other routes? Probably. I have something to tell you. I have school right, and I got my mom gave me her book bag. Cool. All right. Thank you for sharing, Abby. Sorry, Like Abby. Call me Like Abby. So that was verse 16. A gracious woman gets honor, and violent men get riches. So verse 17. A man who is kind benefits himself, but a cruel man hurts himself. At school, I have to talk to people about my problems. Oh, well, that can be good. I mean, we all, I think, would benefit from talking about our problems more. Well, you're cute, so you got that going for you at least. See, I'm a one-woman man. I appreciate the sentiment, but I've got eyes for one, and really only want eyes. I only need one pair of eyes on. One pair of eyes on me is enough to try to keep track of. So as long as she thinks I'm cute, that's what matters. But thank you. I do appreciate the sentiment. So verse 18, the wicked earns deceptive wages, but one who sows righteousness gets a sure reward. And finally, verse 19 for our square proverb of the day, whoever is steadfast in righteousness will live, but he who pursues evil will die. And so now I'm going to go down to the footnotes section of my study Bible. So what makes a study Bible is that half of the text is actual Bible. So you can see here, half of it is actual Bible, and then half of it is just footnotes and extra commentary and whatnot. So we were reading verses 15 through 19. So if I jump down, so the footnote on verse 15 specifically, that to put up security is equivalent to co-signing a loan. C note on verse 6, 1 through 5, and to do so on behalf of a stranger is ill-advised. Striking hands most likely refers to some kind of gesture used to seal such a deal, analogous to a handshake. So, what problem does this? Oh, so I have a question. What's the point of hanging up a staff? What's the point of it? Yeah, that's a fair question. What problem does that solve? It doesn't really solve a problem. For some reason, I was trying to look for a spot to hang it, and now it didn't solve a problem, but it created an interesting talking point for you. So I don't have any qualms or issues that I did it before. I literally just did that yesterday. So I really didn't put much thought into it. I was just like, oh, see hook, hang. So Just curious. Yep, absolutely. And then we have a note here that covers verses 16 through 21. So I didn't read 20 and 21, so we might get to some sections that are not included in today's morning square proverb. But there are three pairs of proverbs here, verses 16 through 17, 18 through 19, and 20 through 21, all relating to a common theme. The gracious woman in verse 16 and the man who is kind in verse 17 contrast with violent men and the cruel man. Okay, so that makes sense. I was wondering why those were paired like that. That's about my friend because she never came. Aw, I'm sorry. Hopefully, maybe she can return someday. Or if maybe if you two have just grown apart, that's a part of getting older. Sometimes you learn that some friends, that you grow apart, and unfortunately that's another time of life. So there's storms of life, there are times of life that you grow apart, but there's also times of life that you can come back together on a game. Oh, okay. So there's the contrast there between a gracious man and a gracious woman and a kind man versus the violent men and cruel men. That makes a lot of sense. So by itself, verse 16 might suggest that there's wisdom in pursuing violence, since one can get rich by that means. But in the larger context of verses 16 through 21, it is very clear that their wealth brings the violent no happiness and that it comes at a high price. The idea of striving to gain something governs verses 18 through 19. Verse 18 speaks of laboring, earns, and sows, whether it be for deceptive wages for the evil or for a sure reward for the good. Now, verse 19, which we did read, similarly speaks of pursuing righteousness or evil and of the result that follow. Verse 20, 21, which we didn't read, but I'll go ahead and finish off the note here, both concern divine judgment with punishment for the evil and deliverance for the good. So that would be tomorrow's square proverb, which I'll try to put up here on the YouTube, just a dedicated short on the square proverb. So, what do you look at school or something? I'm just curious. What do you work at, like if you have a job? So, funny that you say that. I'm actually making a career pivot to being a STEAM tutor. Not sure if you've ever heard the acronym STEAM: Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Mathematics. So, the last time I saw her, she texted me. She said she's going to bed, and then she never came back. Oh my. Well, by the sound of that, I don't know if you're using sort of some how should I say, como se dice, subtle verbiage, subtle wording to suggest a very serious topic. A word of which I don't want to speak here on a family friendly live stream, but like Abby at Nanu and 6, if your friend physically can come back no more, then that is a very severe and strong storm to weather. Much more serious than the storm that I'm currently weathering. So thank you for the perspective that somebody else out there has it worse. And this moves me right into a call for needs. So some might even call it a time of prayer. So I definitely want to offer this time to lift you up in this time of people that are willing to. When I go back to school, I have STEAM class. Oh, really? That's cool. I didn't even know that they offer that as a class. So I consider myself a virtual STEAM tutor. I have my bachelor's degree in mathematics. I have 2 associate degrees in engineering technology, 1 electrical, 1 mechanical. So a pretty strong STEM background. And then as for the arts, as you can see, I have a piano here. So there's a little bit of keyboard action going on. So I'm mostly music. So I offer piano, drums, and voice lessons virtually. So that's actually the career pivot that I'm shifting, is to be more of a full-time YouTuber, STEAM tutor. The job that I was having was soul crushing, and I realized that I needed my soul. What does a man gain by profiting the world but losing his soul? Roughly, as I believe the verse from the Bible. So I'll lift my own needs up to the Lord here during this time of call for needs. Um, Hopefully, this career pivot will be beneficial to me. Hopefully, for Nano and Six, that you've asked me to call you like Abby. Hopefully, for you, this current storm that you're going through. Um, Hopefully, I misread the situation, but if I haven't, and you are going through a loss of a friend that cannot come back, not that they are choosing not to, um, I definitely want to pray for you. So I don't think I have. Oh, I do have it. Okay. So something that we don't do enough um, during the hurricane of life is a time for silent reflection. So I think instead of going and grabbing my timer, instead of what I'm going to do is play. I'm first going to play through As the Deer, which is my favorite piece, and it's going to flag. This is copyright. I don't care. I have this little bear to make me feel better, to remember my best friend. I never came back. Well, whatever can help you remember. I have plenty of little tokens myself that remind me of people that are gone or moments that have passed. Past times of happiness. So I'm gonna be silent for a couple minutes while I play. Maybe I'll do some singing even as the deer, and then I'm going to go into Amazing Grace. And once I'm done with that, I'll get back to my little bulletin here, my script. How shall you say? So now for some lovely, hopefully for some little bits of piano playing, and maybe a little bit of singing. So. As the deer panted for still waters, so my soul longeth after thee. You alone are my heart's desire. I long to worship thee. You alone are my strength, my shield. To you alone may my spirit yield. I love you more than any other, only you can satisfy. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. So that's going to conclude our time of silence. I know it wasn't really silence, but time of reflection with a little bit of piano music from my part. So it kept me busy, and hopefully you were reflecting on whatever storm and trial that you're going through, whether that be loss of a loved one, whether it be for me a rocky patch with a loved one. It's something sad in her bottle. It said something really bad about herself. You know what? There's something that when I learned that I mentioned earlier in this. Okay, there's a Q&A. Let's see. So try it. Pizza, thick or thin crust? For me, it's a hands down thin crust, no doubt, all the way. In her bio, it says something really bad. So I mentioned earlier in this live stream that I was in the psych ward, and something that I learned while I was in there was the concept of negative self talk. And it really occurred to me that too many people have a very negative internal narrator that's going on, and it's really tough to shake that. Because how do you fight your own thoughts? It seems like our thoughts are just of their own accord, and that they want to take the reins. And recently I was uh, listening to a counselor, and he pointed out how let's say you have a negative thought that bubbles up. So the negative thought bubbles up, and then that negative thought wants to hop on the emotional pony, and then when the negative thought when the negative thought is able to hop on the emotional pony, well, now it becomes a negative emotion. If that negative emotion rides off into the sunset, then it becomes a negative behavior or a negative experience. So at any point there, the hope is to stop the negative action, the negative behavior, the negative reaction. And to do that, you have to be very intentional. You have to be very active. So either, when the negative thought bubbles up, you have to be able to, and this is very biblical, to take hold of all thoughts, to take captive every thought that crosses your mind. So if you're able to silence the negative thought, whether you respond to it with an active "that's not true," or "that's illogical," or "that's just an emotion, I don't need to react to it." So if you can, hopefully, ideally, stop the negative emotion or the negative thought from hopping on the emotional pony. But even let's say the thought is able to hop on the pony. Okay, well, now you've got the thought and it's riding on your emotional pony. Well, maybe you're able to grip the reins tightly, pull back and go, "No, this is just an emotion. This is just a reaction. I'm not going to respond. I'm not going to react in a way that it becomes a negative action, a negative reaction. I'm going to respond maturely. I'm going to respond positively. I'm going to respond with intention." Because when we react emotionally, once the action is out there, we can't take it back. I've heard before that actions and words are like toothpaste. Once they're out of the bottle, you can't shove them back in as hard as you try. Like, once you squeeze that tube of toothpaste, it ain't going back in. But until you squeeze, the toothpaste is safely in the bottle. And Jesus even teaches, though, that we have to be mindful of even what's in the toothpaste. If we have somehow, let's say we've got negative thoughts and we've got negative emotions swirling in our mind, in our toothpaste brain, in our toothpaste heart, then yeah, we need to ask God to come into our toothpaste brain, into our toothpaste heart. We need to ask Him to add whatever Christ-like thing that He can to remove the negative and replace it with positive. And that's what I think something like the Bible can do. That there are miraculous works that can be done. That although we cannot, there's no physical way to put the toothpaste back in the tube. I think God has a way that He can look at the toothpaste that's still in the tube, and He can completely revitalize and rejuvenate, through a renewing of your mind, through a renewing of what's in the toothpaste tube. Keep it so that what does come out is that which is good, that which is positive. Hello again, Nonim and Six. So, moving on to our focus passage of the day with the verse Philippians 4, verse 11. So the focus verse of the day, like I said, is going to be Philippians 4, verse 11. "Not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content." So There it is. That's the concept of praising the Lord in the storm of life. That regardless regardless of whatever situation I am in, I am to be content. I'm to be at peace. Contentment to me is not always happy. Contentment to me is not about having a smile on your face. Contentment is saying, I know that I might be going through some really rough shit right now, but ultimately it's going to serve a higher purpose. It's going to be for someone's benefit. Maybe not even mine. Maybe I'm the one taking all of the brunt of the burden so that somebody else doesn't have to. Maybe it's maybe there's going to be an opportunity for me. Hey, I was I was in the psych ward so that I could share here on this live stream that negative self talk does more harm than good. That we have to be mindful of when our brains are doing us more damage than good. Because to me, the brain and the soul are not always gelling with each other. They don't want to always play nice. And so when the soul feels out of whack with the brain, that's when the soul, you kind of have to draw on the spiritual and go, hey, soul, kick my brain's booty right now. Find a way to put my brain in check. Whether if you want to, maybe if you want to think of your soul as your heart and your brain as your mind, like you kind of say, hey, heart. No, well, your heart's your emotion. So I don't know where the soul lives. The brain is the logic, the heart is the emotion, the soul is somewhere else. But to me, what's truly you, the essence that like for me, the essence that makes Jackson is my soul, and I don't know where that lives. I think my emotions live here at my heart, my core. My brain is my logical thinking entity. The soul is just everywhere, and the physical is just the meat sack that carries everything. So when any one of those are out of balance, then everything is thrown out of whack. It's like a Jenga tower. If you can handle knocking a few blocks, nudging this way or nudging that way, but the wrong block nudged the wrong way, down goes the whole tower. So there's that to keep in mind of. But not that Paul, who I believe wrote Philippians. Let me just go back real quick. Let me fact check that according to my study Bible. So if I go back to the beginning of Philippians, so introduction to Philippians. Yes, Paul is the stated author of Philippians, and few have questioned his authorship. It was written to the Christians in the Roman colony of Philippi. So Paul, who wrote much of the New Testament, he's me and my other friend, we talked. Well, that's good. You really negative emotions need talked about because when negative emotions are bottled up, when they you need a safe place to pour the negative thoughts out of the toothpaste, because sometimes maybe the only way to put good toothpaste in the toothpaste tube is to get the negative out first. But you have to be able to get the negative toothpaste out in a healthy way, and usually that means a professional. And unfortunately, you get what you pay for in this day and age. So there's that. Now, I don't like to take a verse out of context, so there's a heading here, and actually, I'm probably just going to read to the end of Philippians. So it starts actually in verse 10. So chapter 4, verse 10, and the heading is God's provision. So I'm going to read from verse 10 all the way down to the bottom in verse 23. So I rejoice in the Lord greatly that now at length you have revived your concern for me. You were indeed concerned for me, but you had no opportunity. Not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hungry, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Yet, it was kind of you to share my trouble. And you, Philippians, yourselves know that in the beginning of the gospel, when I left Macedonia, no church entered into partnership with me in giving and receiving except you only. Even in Thessalonica, you sent me help for my needs once again. Not that I seek the gift, but I seek the fruit that increases to your credit. I have received full payment and more. I am well supplied. I have received from Epaphroditus the gifts you sent, a fragrant offering, a sacrifice acceptable and pleasing to God, and my God will supply every need of yours, according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus. To our God and Father be glory forever and ever. Amen. The final greetings is the header now. So greet every saint in Christ Jesus. The brothers who are with me, greet you. All the saints greet you, especially those of Caesar's household. The grace of the Lord Jesus Christ be with your spirit. And so we're going to hop down to the footnote. The only footnote here, looking at our focus verse, which was chapter 4, verse 11. It's a footnote actually on verses 10 and 11. Paul is grateful for the Philippians' support, but he wants them to know that even in difficult circumstances, he has learned to be content. And so that is the focus here. Really, Philippians 4:11b. That you can be content no matter the weather. So regardless of the storm that you're going through, that you have the knowledge and the wisdom and the courage to remain content in that. And whether that be a time of hungry, a time of fasting. There's certain things right now in my life that I'm fasting on. I'm going through, it was the Hallow app. Wasn't a large subscription. It does cost a little money because you get what you pay for. And it's an opportunity to go through a 21-day fasting exercise. I'm going a little slower than a section a day just because life is life. But I've decided that I'm fasting from soda, and I'm fasting from music with words in it. So specifically I'm focusing on a particular classical piece called Truth. I don't remember who performs it or who is the composer. Maybe I'll have to look that up for the next edition. Not sure when I'll be doing the next one of these. But it's a really good piece. So a classical piano piece called Truth. Hopefully that can get you to what I'm listening to. And if not, I'm sure I'll get you to a good piece in and of itself. So that's really all I have there for you. The focus verse and the passage around it is really straightforward. It's just talking about how, Paul acknowledges that he's been through the ups, he's been through the downs, and through it all, God has been with him, has been there by his side in the form of, sending help from the Philippians, from, what was his name? Epaphroditus. So was able to send a gift to Paul from the Philippians. So my prayer and my hope is that you out there, whether you're viewing this now or viewing this in the future, that you too, that regardless of whatever situation, whatever weather you find yourself, that you can at least be content. Maybe you can't find peace, maybe you can't find happiness, but you can find contentment. And so now to close on this morning meditation, I'm going to live practice, live learn out of the hymnal Worship and Rejoice by the Hope Publishing Company. The closing hymn, number 499, He Leadeth Me. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my handy dandy Yamaha keyboard here. I'm going to go ahead and make a note that this hymn was practiced on 2026 February 8th. Okay, and it's in a key of C, so I already played. So just going to not sure if I have the voice this morning. Maybe. Well, by God's grace. He leadeth me, oh blessed thought, all words comfort brought, whate'er I do, where'er I be, still 'tis God's hand that leadeth me. He leadeth me. He leadeth me by his own hand. He leadeth me. His faithful follower I would be, for by his hand he leadeth me. So there you have it. That was hymn 499. He leadeth me. So now I'm just going to read all of the three verses. So he leadeth me, O blessed thought, O words with heavenly comfort fraught. Whate'er I do, where'er I be, still 'tis God's hand that leadeth me. The refrain, or what we would call the chorus these days. He leadeth me, by his own hand he leadeth me. His faithful follower I would be, for by his hand he leadeth me. Verse 2. Lord, I would clasp thy hand in mine, nor ever murmur nor repine. Content whate'er my lot may be, since 'tis my God who leadeth me. Back to the refrain. He leadeth me, by his own hand he leadeth me. His faithful follower I would be, for by his hand he leadeth me. Verse 3, the final verse. And when my task on earth is done, when by thy grace the victory's won, e'en death's e'en death's cold wave I will not flee, since God through Jordan leadeth me. The final refrain. He leadeth me, by his own hand he leadeth me. His faithful follower I would be, for by his hand he leadeth me. And so I ask that for those of you watching, whether it be live, whether it be in the future as the VOD, the video on demand of this, that you can accept God's gracious leading and know that the leading is for your own good, that the good Lord leads like a wise and kind shepherd. That he doesn't lead as a dictator. He doesn't lead as somebody who yells. He leads as a loving father. And if you're like me and you didn't have a present father, well, then I ask that you can at least have a fatherly role model to look up to. Preferably not me, but somebody that's in your life that can be that father figure to you. And so I was workshopping here this little closing remark, and I've settled on one for I'm going to close on the acronym SLEEP. So SLEEP, SLEEP, as my sign off, which I know a morning meditation that closes on sleep. How funny is that? Well. So with sleep, have for the next maybe couple minutes, do a sacred screen shutdown. That way it has the lights out to focus on instead his light. So turn off the artificial light so that you can focus on his light. Entrap every thought. Explore your dream land that he wants to give you. And finally, ultimately, peace be with you. So that's the workshop I have here that I'm going to leave you with some sleep. I don't know what. The other closing remark I have here is the schedule. I don't know when I'm going to be doing another one of these. I might try to aim to do. I was doing these daily. And it wasn't getting too much. I take a couple minutes to draft up my little bulletin, my schedule. If you would want one of these bulletins, I have them for a couple days back. I've been keeping them dated. I'll sign them. I'll be happy to mail them free of charge, so you can reach out to me. That's JackalBruit, fruit spelled with a B, not brute like the British monster. If you email me and say, hey, I want the script from day, February 8th, whatever, and then, shoot me like a PO box or a mailing address, and, I'll eat the cost of the stamp and the envelope and whatever, and I will ship you out the bulletin, the hard copy bulletin, schedule, itinerary that I used for that live stream, just as a little thank you for watching, and it'll warm my heart to kind of see like, oh look, somebody actually wanted that little slip of paper. So yeah, there might be another one of these tomorrow, there might not. Mondays are a little rocky-ish because I don't take my daughter to daycare. My son still gets on the bus though, so there might still be a window for that. But be the salt of the earth, as we are told in Matthew 5:13. Seek the true light, and seek the true light by getting off your sacred screen to go do something amazing. So seek the true light by turning off your sacred screen. So yeah. Be the salt of the earth. Turn off that sacred screen. Hey Butters, what's up? You're catching the tail end, but hopefully this will be uploaded as a VOD here soon, and you can watch the whole thing of praising the Lord in the storm of life, and you'll get a little taste of the storm that I've been going through these past couple of months. So um, happy to see you in the chat room there, Butters. West Virginia, I think. If I remember. I know, yeah, not Baltimore. I keep thinking Baltimore, but I think it's just because, yeah, you're a Baltimore fan. Which, hey, Super Bowl Sunday. All right, it's a big day. It's a fun day. A lot of praising that's going to be going on. A lot of cussing that's also going to be going on because it's a zero-sum game. So as one team celebrates, another team is frustrated and losing. So one team's gain is another team's loss. So I'm doing a wrap up here. I'm doing the closing here, and I thought of a really good closing. Yeah, I hear you. The only thing that I care about is I really want to see Cooper Kupp get his second ring. I think Cooper Kupp is an amazing football player. The most recent Triple Crown winner of most yards, most receiving yards, most receiving touchdowns, most receptions in a season. So if Cooper Kupp can get his second ring, that's what I'm rooting for. I'm there for the commercials. Hey, that's, yeah. If nothing else, we got the commercials to keep us entertained. So the closing thing that I have is I'm gonna close with some sleep because I could probably use some. I don't know if my body is gonna let me have any, but the idea is to be the salt of the earth by turning off your sacred screen so that you have some lights off to focus on His true light, so that you can untrap every thought to explore your dreamland that God above wants to give to you, and ultimately peace be with you and your digital king. So that is the sleep that I hope to send off with you, that you can be the salt of the earth, to seek the light that is true from above by getting off your sacred screen, that you can entrap every thought and make it captive, so that you are free to explore the dreamland that God wants to give to you. And through all of that, let there be peace with you and those around you. And peace be with you and your digital kin. And with that, that is JackalBruit, aka better known here in my local sphere as Jackson Brumbaugh, signing off. Peace.